Hello, YouTube world, beautiful people, whatever you want to be called. Um, Mike here for one of the hosts of Doesn't Make the Cut.
And I'm Nick, and welcome to this next episode where we're reviewing the Book of Boba Fett, episode 4 and 5.
Oh yes. So, for those of you who listened to the last episode, as you know, it was kind of like 50-50 for both of us. The next two here, they did good. That's all I'm gonna say. They generally did good. But before we do continue, spoilers, big spoilers. We're just going in balls deep, zero fucks given. So
The these next two episodes were quite an uphill compared to like I said when we had last talked about this was they're struggling in the beginning, but hopefully towards the end it ends up figuring out where exactly we're going in the storyline. And I feel like now we're in the big, like, we're getting to it. We're just hitting that peak of where this show's going, man.
yeah, okay, so episode, fuck, what are we on? Four?
For
Okay, four. They're in the right step right now. We're able to see much more of Boba. There's a lot of callbacks, especially in the prequels, and I personally liked it. But what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, same, dude. I really really enjoyed this. There was some good things a part of this. Through in this episode you get to see how basically taking place where Finnick Shan, after she got shot from the Mandalorian, or from Din Djarin, and you see how Boba gets to meet how they both meet with each other and end up becoming partners. I thought that was really cool because it was, you had enough time to see like what happened between the last time we saw this character and the next time we see them. She's with Boba Fett, so that was really cool to see
Yeah,
how they're doing that.
yeah. I was gonna say it really does show. Like at first, there was just this small little awkward tension where we're like, okay, I don't know who you are. No, sorry. They do know each other, but they don't trust each other just yet. But as the episode unfolds, well, that's not the case. They eventually start like liking each other, and we start to see that marital bond that they have, and to the point where they just sound like a couple of old married couple just bickering about the temperature of the cockpit, which I probably do see them doing that.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. No, that's for sure. Yeah, it was nice seeing they both have a really good chemistry with each other that quite plays off. And yeah, I mean, seeing so much of this, and one of my one of the most like craziest parts in the episode for me was when Chrysanthemum took that arm off.
Ooh. I was waiting for it. Like, you should have seen my reaction when I saw that. I was like, he's gonna rip his arm off. He's gonna rip his arm off because right from the first movie, that's been teased to hell that Wookiees like to do that,
Oh yeah.
and which in this scenario where Wookiees and Trandoshans don't get along anyway, it was both as a mixture of me being horrified and also satisfied seeing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I mean, it was completely unnecessary, but like in the context, but it was just like just showing how just much of a brute this guy is. And now that he's gonna be working with Boba Fett now, so that's gonna be, because they know each other, right? Or they know of each other.
I'm pretty sure they do know each other. I'm not sure if this is canon, but I do. If I recall, in the Legends lore, Boba used to be feared by the Wookiees because Boba used to hunt Wookiees, and if you recall in the original trilogy, he used to have those braids. Those were Wookiee braids that he wore for trophies.
Oh right. Oh dang.
Either this guy really needed the cash, the credits, or he's just really lonely and he doesn't know anyone else outside the arena and the gladiators where he came from. So it could be a mixture of both.
That's true. He is he's someone that I would love to learn more about because yeah, he's just like you know, he definitely holds it up every time like they show him on screen. So yeah, he looks like a badass.
Yeah, there's a lot of character there, right down to the electric brass knuckles that he's just rocking. And just like, that shit's gonna do some crazy damage, man.
Oh man. Yeah, you know, and even the table scene when he's talking with the other clans around. I thought that was pretty cool. It just reminded me of just like an old like a mob meet of all the bosses just sitting around a table.
Yeah, I actually want to talk about that. So the placement of that scene, it really does echo what Boba is trying to say. Like he's doubling down on the respect there because he could have easily dined on the throne and like looking down on these guys, but not only that, he put the table right underneath where the rain car pit is. So he's showing that his fate is shared with theirs as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's for sure. And yeah, you know, I found that that was really cool. Just like you know, it gives him another, you know, like we were talking about like last time too. It's like these little like pieces of him. You know, he's showing that he's leading in respect, but also too, you know, given that underlying thing of, you know, he's still a badass. Like he's still, you know, if you can't mess with him or else, you know, he's steps ahead of the game already. So
Yeah.
that's you know, that's something I took away from that when, you know, they were eating above his new little friend there.
Yeah, he's doubling down on his views here, and they're doing a lot right here. Even the some of the flashback scenes where he gets. I know they changed the name. I don't know to what though, but when he gets his ship back, so
Yeah. Yeah, you know, let's talk about that for a moment here. I've been seeing
yeah.
complaints about that, and honestly, I don't quite get why people would be upset with that, you know, with the name change. I don't know. What do you think?
When they made the name, it was a very different time, and based on who the character is with Boba, it does make sense that he chose that name.
Mhm.
But in today's political climate, I'm not surprised that they do want to change it.
Yeah. No, you're right. It is interesting. It's interesting when we're going into, you know, the time we're living in today, and just finding it interesting people, you know, polling complaints on, you know, a certain thing being changed, like when it comes to a name, you know, and especially when it's a term, or you're talking about a people, or you're talking about a race, like, you know, it's very interesting how people get quite offensive when the name
Mm-hmm.
is changed to something that's not offensive to a certain type of people, you know? like I mean, you know, I remember seeing that with you know, even like I'm not a big sports fan, but you know, when there's the names of like sports teams being changed, you know, and how
Yeah, yeah.
upright, you know, these people who get like, oh, you're changing my team's name, and then for this, you know, I'm seeing the same thing. Oh, you're changing the ship's name. It's kind of like, well, look at the context that that name has put upon itself.
The one I'm personally conflicted is back when I used to be a big Canuck fan. There's there's been a controversy with the logo of the Canucks, and me personally, like I'm a little conflicted because I did grow up with that logo, but at the same time I can see that argument. But right now I'm just kind of like somewhere in the middle where I'm like, yeah, it kind of is appropriation, but at the same time I'm just like, unfortunately, nostalgia is just kind of there. Where I'm like, I don't see a problem with it just because I grew up with it as a kid.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, no, that that's definitely a big part that plays into things like that too. Is yeah, the nostalgia aspect of when you see it, you're pretty much your whole life, and then you try to like take it back into like I don't know. Yeah, I could see that being definitely conflicting matters there. I don't know. It's interesting. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
I'd have thought. We're not talking about sports. We're talking about Boba Fett. So, um, minor sidetrack. But anyways, I just love that Boba is he's just down to pet shit because you could really tell he loves that banta. So
Yeah. Oh man, that was a sweet moment. And it was crazy too to see how a lot of their they're playing back to not only having the visual like special effects, but also I'm blanking on the name right now. Practical effects. So it's really
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
It plays off really nicely.
No, they do complement each other. I'm happy to see practical effects come back, and I know like back in episode 7 with Force Awakens, they did show quite a bit of practical effects, but unfortunately, as the sequels did go on, they clearly didn't give a shit anymore. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. But
yeah,
but I'm glad, in these past few series that, you get to see that a lot, and especially with a lot of the characters too. Pretty much a majority of the characters in this series, like you can see like just the amount of makeup and prosthetics going into this is looks really cool.
no, absolutely. It just creates more life on the screen. I know like in the prequels there was a combination regarding the Wookiees. There was a combination between practical effects and CGI, but uh, the practical effects just didn't look as good as opposed to uh, Chewie's
Mhm.
practical effects in the original trilogy. So they are stepping up their game, thankfully.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean it adds a lot and it creates I don't know, it creates more life into things.
Yeah,
Um, another thing I enjoyed about this episode too was Boba Fett given more of a he's saying more of why he changed his ways and more of what he's looking to now. Like we get to see his true motive, I believe, in this episode that um, why he's not too bounty hunting anymore, why he wants to just start things on his own and create this new chapter in his life that and taking those a lot of those teachings and those that he found with living with the Tuscans.
it is both a drastic arc that happened in span of half of an episode, and also I think maybe a welcome one because we can't have two like it. It's hard to say this because I do love Boba Fett, but right now it's just hard to have two really quiet Mandalorians that don't say much. So of course, having Boba be more chatty and more charismatic, of course, there does need to be that contrast.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree on that. There's there I feel like you could play it out and just I don't know, you could always just had like it's nice that they're giving him a little bit more to chew on, but at the same time, maybe it can be a little too much at times.
No, no, I agree. I get the direction where they are coming from. At the same time, I do feel like Boba is just a little too chatty because the Boba that I know in the original trilogy, he was so cryptic, and there's this mystique with behind that mask, and you just don't know what he's thinking. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And we'll see where this lies next. And because towards the end of this episode, get understanding that he's gonna be fully going up against the Pike Syndicate there.
I'm excited to see that. Like I'm excited to see this. there is a lot of buildup. I am a little worried that the payoff may not be as successful as Mandalorian's climaxes. And once again, unfortunately, Mandalorian really set the bar really fucking high. So,
Yeah, and I was just thinking of that too because since Mandalorian, we haven't had a the Book of Boba Fett is our first live action series after the Mandalorian, and the
mhm.
other series that came out they're all animated. So yeah, there is a big the Mandalorian definitely did set the standard, like the bar. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, like the bar like really high. So I feel like maybe that's why this show overall is getting mixed reviews because that bar has been just so high. But maybe that's something that the creators and stuff can look into and push each one, each series to a whole different level now that they know. Because going something that I feel like even like Marvel's working on too is like they have their first series going good with WandaVision. Then the second one with, Falcon Winter Soldier wasn't really um that big, you know, uh, as compared to the rest of the series that came out. And then all of a sudden it's like coming up, each one's coming up like really good. So maybe that's something that, could
Mhm.
be taken away from these Star Wars series that are coming out.
I have a sneaking suspicion the Rangers of the New Republic. Um, Everything is building up to that. You know, right now, Mandalorian, Boba Fett, uh, Ahsoka, they're all going to be part of that series, and that's going to be kind of like the Defenders, right, in
Mhm.
Marvel. Okay, so it's
Oh.
going to be like a Defenders scenario. I have a feeling it's going to be that.
Oh, that'd be cool. Just get them all together into one, going off into. Oh, I see. I see. Oh, that'd be
And
cool.
yeah, and obviously the big bad is probably going to be Thrawn. If they put someone else in there, I'd be genuinely surprised.
Yeah, because that would make sense because the particular timeline they're in right now, they have a lot of years to work with, quite a bit of years. So yeah, it wouldn't be an understanding why they're really working on like things that after the empire is no more, that yeah, you bring them all together for those who are still sticking around for that. Dang, wow. Dang.
Yeah, so that's my suspicion. We'll know in when's it coming out? 24, 25.
Sounds like such a long time period away, but it's really not.
Yeah, like one that I'm surprised that they're making a series of is fucking Cassian Andor.
I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to that. It brings me curiosity, but
Really? Okay, so but for me, like I thought he was so boring, and I'm not, and I know that's probably not his fault because I know Gareth Edwards. Unfortunately, I don't think he knows how to handle actors because in his previous movie Godzilla, the humans there just sound so stoic, and their line deliveries was just so flat, and unfortunately that echoed in the same with Rogue One.
yeah. No, that's fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah, but I'm going to give it an honest to goodness chance. I'm not going to judge a book by its cover. I will see. I'll wait and see what it's like.
yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, it gets me really curious because um his character out of all of Rogue One, sparked the most like intrigue for me. So I can definitely see why they're expanding a bit more on his story. Um, yeah, just because yeah, he just seemed, and I don't know, because I enjoyed bits of Rogue One. Um, I thought it was a nice tie-in, but yeah, there were certain characters in there that I would love to see more of. So yeah, it's just curiosity. curiosity to see how that one will go. But um, with this chapter 4 in Boba Fett, what would you give the overall rating to it?
Overall rating. Before I answer you that question, one thing I will say, I am glad the bomb came back and probably just blew bits and pieces of that Sarlacc pit. So
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that was really cool.
no, like it was. I was waiting for it. I'm like, okay, do you have any bombs in there? Because one of the few. It's just such a satisfying sound when it goes off. So
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when that went off in the Attack of the Clones. That was really, it was, yeah, has a really crazy sounding to it. But yeah, is overall a better episode than the one previous.
by a mile. So I'm gonna say yes. That is it is better than that. There's so my rating for this episode. I would probably give it a. I'd probably give it a 7. They did redeem themselves once again. They are at this point, anyways. They're still doing that weird roller coaster ride they're giving us. Like they're giving us a lot of highs, but those highs just counter into this deep low. So,
Mhm.
but that's where I stand.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm in full agreement. Yeah, I feel like a good 7 out of 10 is pretty good for this one. That they're we're just now getting into things built up. We're just now seeing where they're the stories going forward with, and um, now Boba going against the Pike Syndicate with his own um, group that he's come to build with, and leaving us on a pretty crazy cliffhanger there, man. With the
Ooh, no, I when I saw that, like, or when the theme came in, I'm like, they're not gonna bring him in, are they? And I had this theory before we move on to the next episode. I had this theory where they're not gonna give us Mando right away, mostly because like they want to tease us, and they want to keep us intrigued, keep us going till the last episode where Din does show up, and I thought the armor and the big blue motherfucker, which now he has a name, but anyways, I thought those two were going to show up and help Boba, and then Mando comes along with Bo Katan and fuck, what's her name? Reeves, something
mhm.
Reeves. Yeah, so that's what I thought was going to happen, but that was my prediction before like I actually saw the recent episode.
And they just ended up giving him a whole damn episode.
A whole damn episode, like he had the he had the coldest entrance too. Like he walked in and he knew exactly what he was. He knew exactly how badass he is, and even his line, it just commands respect. And this guy's got a big dick and he's not afraid to show it.
Man, that the beginning of this episode, like the whole episode 5 was really good. Um that intro, yeah, I've seen him just going up and just slicing everyone out like with that dark saber. Oh my goodness. And yeah, that's he definitely like um it's awesome seeing him, and it makes sense too of why they would do something like this, because clearly some time has passed from um the last time we saw Din Djarin and into
Mm-hmm.
now. It makes sense of why they would say what he was doing prior to this, and so that way we get an understanding of where he's at. We're seeing how he's still mourning the of not seeing Grogu, and that he wants to go and see him again. We
Yeah.
just get a bit more, and especially some more. input on the dark saber, and um, just there was a lot that really went into this episode, and fuck, man, I digged every minute of it.
So did I. There, it does have its faults, but I'll get to that later. Um, I so we already warned everyone. There's already spoilers, and the cat's out of the bag. So, Din, my man, he's no longer a Mandalorian. Not, at least not in the armorer's eyes. So,
Yeah, which so this was something I was thinking about, and from what we learned when Din met Bo-Katan, and he was talking about the other Mandalorians that he met, and how there's obviously a big draw. There's a line of what a true Mandalorian can be, and what their true you know um, of how they look at the way of life, and especially with how they do things, because those Mandalorians that we saw that um Din met in season 2, they took their helmets off. They were, because they were talking about Mandalorian and all that stuff. And then to see the total opposite with the one who, like, yeah, I don't know the name of this one, but the ones um that creates his, like, armor and stuff. um
um, she's all we know is that her name is the Armor. She doesn't say her name yet, but
mm,
Big Blue, I think they finally dropped his name in this one.
yeah, fun fact that his dad was in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, he's the OG owner of the dark saber. So
Yeah. So that of Death
yeah,
Watch.
so yeah, so there's which I'm not surprised because Mando was saved by the Death Watch, so that does make sense that Din was rolling with that crew.
Yeah, they're kind of, how did Bo-Katan put it? They're like the oh, there was a certain thing that she said about those type of Mandalorians. But
Uh, from what I understand, they're extremists. Like they do want to go back to the old ways where they were efficient killers before they were a bunch of
mm,
hippies. And so you're right, there are factions in the Mandalorians where Bo-Katan, where obviously she does show her face along with her crew, and then there's Din's group where they follow their code like it is an actual religion.
mhm. Yeah, and I find that really intriguing on how, yeah, there's different types and different sets, and all those different mindsets. So that's, yeah, it's really interesting to be watching that play out.
Yeah. I do want to touch base. I want to take us back to a page or two about the armor.
Mhm.
I read a theory that the armor that she's scheming something. She's planning something, and it's almost like she's playing chess with everyone. So someone is suspecting that she might become a villain down the road.
Ooh, that would be. Oh, I could definitely see that. There's been shades of that already. Um, and especially in this episode, I feel like yeah, there could be definitely something down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. But oh man, there was so
Yeah.
much that happened in this episode. It was.
No, the overall feel of this episode, um, it really did feel like a prologue to season 3 of Mandalorian, and
Yeah.
a part of me does kind of feel bad because bad for Boba because the show is called the Book of Boba Fett,
Mm.
but my man Din here comes in and hijacks an episode, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. But right now, I'm just under the impression that I don't think Favreau anticipated Disney to want to do a Boba Fett episode, and maybe that's why some of the episodes here are just so scattered because John didn't really have enough time to fully flush out this season.
Maybe, maybe, yeah. Because I mean, we didn't see Boba at all in this episode, like at all. like,
Yeah,
like
so
we were able to see Finnick in this one at the end, but yeah, no, so that's really interesting. I mean, maybe that can just tie it back into like that they have this set schedule and they need to you know hit every piece because they have so much content coming out that I mean maybe that could be definitely a big factor into why things are playing out the way they are.
yeah, and it's just funny that history is actually repeating itself because Favreau started the MCU, and now Favreau's starting a new saga of Star Wars. So I'm just like, you're a pioneer, my man. So
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, and didn't he let me just see this really quick. John Favreau was in this episode too. He played the voice of the big Mandalorian.
yeah, Big Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that because season one, I, I looked up his voice. I'm like, you sound so fucking familiar. Who are you? And the next thing I saw Favreau with his big fuzzy face. I'm like, you you voiced him. So
Yeah, yeah, and even the Rebel fighter from the last one, from the first season, made his return. Um, he plays the dad.
Anakin.
No, he plays the dad. He's in the TV series Kim's Convenience. He was the captain one who
Oh, the pilot. Yeah, 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 yeah. I know who you're talking about now.
yeah.
No, he had a return too. Like, I love that scene where Din he's putting this thing to the test, and this motherfucker is fast,
Oh
and
yeah.
then he showed up, and I'm like, are they bringing him back? Because I recognize that voice. So
Yeah, so I thought that was really cool. And Bryce Dallas Howard directed this episode too. So it.
I
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't know who is listening, whether if Kathleen Kennedy, well, first of all, if you're listening, you're failing. You are failing the Star Wars lore. But anyways, anyone who's listening, anyone who has the means, give this woman, Bryce Dallas Howard, a trilogy to work with. No, better yet, give her the trilogy for the Knights of the Old Republic.
Ooh. Yeah, because I'm a lot of the episodes that she has done in the past. I've really enjoyed them. Really enjoyed them because yeah, I mean this episode overall, like it truly like the series, yeah, is Book of Boba Fett, but it truly just felt like its own standalone, yeah, like a prologue to the next season of The Mandalorian. So that could bring into some things like towards the end because Din did say that he has something to do. So I mean, maybe it could be just a tie into like that's the next time we're gonna see in the season 3 we can see his little thing with Grogu, and then just some little time jumps that's going to be happening there. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where this all ends up.
I have a feeling we're not gonna see that exchange, at least not yet. They're gonna show it in season three. So right now, I think it's gonna be Boba setting up a fight with the Pike Syndicate, and eventually, whether if it's midway through the next episode or 3/4 of the way, that's where Din will show
Oh
up.
man, right when you get to see it right now, right when things are not favoring in their corner. All of a sudden, he comes in with this fast ass ship, starts blasting everyone out. Oh man, see it now.
I can see it now too. And Bo-Katan and her group, the Night Owls or Nighthawks. I don't remember what they called. I don't remember what they called each other. I have a feeling they're coming back too.
Oh yeah, it all has to lead to something, man. It's all leading to something. Maybe a big old fight on. They showed. Oh, that's another thing too. In this episode, they showed the wreckage of Mandalore.
Yeah, no, like the first live action scene of it, like just a fragment.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. Like bringing that in there, and the droids in there. Like I didn't quite recognize at first, but I've been watching every Wednesday now since that's when a lot of these Disney series come out. That's when I watch like the animated shows. So I've been
Yeah.
dedicating my Wednesdays, like right after an episode of Book of Boba, I would turn on the Clone Wars series because I haven't quite finished it. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm yeah, every Wednesday now I like it's my Star Wars day. Yeah, I'm just now in these season 2 midway. The droids that I saw in there, they're like those like they're like a battle looking type of droid where it's like they're tall, but their head shape's different than the rest of the droids. But I don't know. That's what it reminded me of. The ones that were, yeah,
Okay.
messing shit up on Mandalore there.
You could tell they are paying a lot of homage to the prequel fans, and I'm a prequel fan. Like I recognize their flaws, and they're not perfect movies by any means, but I can't help but love them. I play the games, I collect the toys, so because of that nostalgia, it'll always have a it'll always have a special place in my heart.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. That is for sure. So it's nice seeing that. Yeah, I
Mm.
mean, shit, man. Overall, this episode was good, but
Oh, wait, sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt
what's
you.
up?
We know Din is going back to go see Grogu, and of course we know Grogu is with Luke. What if, at the climax of the show, where same shit like in season 2 of Mandalorian, shit's just going down and and Maul is just wrecking shit, and he's bringing Boba's empire and crashing it down on him. The one person that's going to turn the tide is Mace Windu.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that's what I said. Yeah, remember I mentioned that in our last episode was like, what if that was Windu comes back, man? That'd be crazy.
Nothing set in stone right now. Like it feels like the fans want to see this exchange go down. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because throughout the episode, like throughout the whole series, I mean, they've been, showing how Boba's like, how he obviously, has been missing his dad, so it's like,
mm,
I don't know. It makes a lot of sense to bring in the guy who took his dad out and
yeah,
find a piece, and maybe that's how Boba tries to whether he just offs Mace Windu, which would be crazy. Um, but I don't see that happening. But yeah, I mean, and bringing in some tie-ins, I mean, it would make some it makes sense. It truly just makes sense.
one critique about this episode that I will give, because as much as I love it, it does have its flaws. Well, at least for me, like the one big complaint I had was the whole mechanic scene where Din and What's Her Dick were, rebuilding this Naboo starfighter, and they're just spouting out a lot of technical mumbo jumbo, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, calm your shit. This is Star Wars. I'm not here to watch Pimp Your Ride, Star Wars edition.
That's a Carillion Starfighter 8282. Yeah, it was like a bunch of I mean, it shows like how well informed they are, but like through like these starships, but yeah, no, the whole montage was yeah, I don't know, it just that I think for me it was the montage sequence. I mean, it was sweet in some parts, but I don't know,
Hmm.
man. Sometimes things can go on a lot longer than they probably should.
Yeah, like that could have been trimmed down by 2, maybe 5 minutes, and they could have like went into something else. Um, but it doesn't. It really does not sour my experience of this episode, and even IMDb just shows it as well with a pulverizing 9.4 or 5 stars.
My
I don't remember what it was.
goodness. Yeah. Holy shit. Oh yeah, another thing too is we saw mechanic there. She, what's her name? Her character name? Peely?
Pili. I don't remember. To me, it's Mono.
Um, she spoke Jawa. I thought that was pretty crazy.
That's
She
right. Yeah,
actually,
yeah,
her
yeah.
character
So
dated a Jawa.
either the sands of Tatooine is truly a lonely place for you to stoop as low, and I do mean low, to date a Jawa, or my lady here, she she likes the aliens.
She
So
said they're hairy little things too. so I mean, I've been really looking up on things on how the Tuscans were before, like what they look like without their mask, and same thing with Jawas.
yeah.
And it's pretty crazy, like they're really referencing that a lot. And like this is like lore that I saw pre sequel trilogy too. So
Hmm.
I'm throughout like this whole series too, I'm glad that they're playing into getting a mixture of both those. So it's people are noticing about that, so that's cool.
They're doing their homework. You're absolutely right. And unlike the sequel trilogy, where it felt like they really they were just they had zero fucks to give, and they were just doing their own shit. So, as for Mandalorian and this, once again, you can tell Favreau, Filoni, and the other writers. I don't know who. I don't remember them on top of my head. That they know what they're doing, and it feels like the franchise is now in good hands.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a good progression because something like a Star Wars where you have so much lore to go off of, like you can give a piece of everything, of putting some nostalgia stuff in there, quoted things back into things that a true, like a hard-earned like Star Wars fan would know, but then yet expanding things into your universe, bringing in new things. Like you can have a mixture of both worlds, and
Mm,
that's something that I just feel like the more time goes on, the less of a fan that I really am getting of the sequel trilogy, which sucks because
yeah.
when it first came out, I was like, dang, this is actually, some good stuff. This is interesting things. But then now looking back on it, I'm
Mm.
just kind of like, yeah, they really could have done better.
I
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, there was two extremes to the sequel trilogy. JJ, like, he Force Awakens at the end of the day, it's a soulless movie. Like, it's just there's is a carbon copy of A New Hope, and so because like he stayed in a safe path, he took no risks, where made the fans frustrated.
Hmm.
And then the Last Jedi came out, and they did the complete 180, where Ryan Johnson had zero fucks to give. He was taking a bunch of risks, and because of that, it just really alienated the older fans.
Yep. And then with the with the Last Jedi, no, not Last Jedi. That one was the Last Jedi.
The
Rise of
Rise of Skywalker.
Skywalker. Tried to it was basically, if
Shit.
you can literally, you can watch that trilogy and not even watch the Last Jedi. It would be just go from Force Awakens
Yeah.
to Rise of Skywalker, and that's the whole thing right there. Like that's how.
There was no plan in this shit at all, and
No.
it's just
Yeah. Nothing.
no, nothing at all. Like, yeah, as soon as Disney bought it, they're like, okay, we got to get something out. Who's hot right now? JJ, get him on board. So,
And I enjoy when they do, like in certain um type of franchises. If you bring in different directors, it's nice to have like a fresh input on things. But if somebody starts a vision, because it's almost like that game of that game of, you can like draw something, you can start writing something, and then you pass it on to somebody else. They create their own
uh,
vision of it, and then
yeah,
at the
yeah,
end you just have this like weird like clusterfuck of something. I mean, it could be really nice, but at the same time
yeah.
it's just all a mess. of something. That's kind of how I felt
Yeah.
with the that whole sequel trilogy. Was it was a big cluster of a bunch of stuff. But I'm hoping now, like we're already seeing the change in with these series, that they're of true visions going along. And who knows, maybe down the line it could be something to look forward. I mean, we did get some like really amazing, like I really enjoyed a lot of the characters in the sequel trilogy, and I hope we get to see a little bit more of them. And that in like their next trilogy after that, they don't kill them all off like they did in this one with killing off Han and Luke, and then unfortunately we don't have Carrie Fisher in this world anymore. But I mean, like bringing
No.
in something like that. I mean, where we could have had so much more stories to tell with all of them. Yeah, I don't know. That maybe that's a talk for another day, but yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it feels like sometimes I do need a group therapy session just to try to wash off the fuckery that was sequel trilogy. And last thing I will say on it, because at the end of the day, we're still talking about Mandalorian. No, wait, Book of Boba Fett. Retcon the entire thing. It didn't happen.
That
So that's all I'll
yeah, I
say.
remember seeing polls about that, like just redo the whole thing. And maybe at this point you could, but I don't know. At this point too, it's they have so much years to work on. Maybe that's something that they can just casually talk about here and there. But I'm happy with where we're at right now in the current of where we're the stories they're talking about. Like right now, this is like post Empire type of stuff on how everyone's been dealing with, because the Empire's been around for shit. How long do you believe in the Star Wars universe? Like 25 years?
The best way to determine that is look at Kylo Ren's age. But even then, like we're not even sure like how long before Han and Leia got busy to make little Ben over there. So
I mean, it could have happened on
uh,
Endor.
yeah, or that like um, so rough guesstimate. I'm gonna say 25 to 30 years.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good time period, because I mean, from the original trilogy, Luke and Leia were like in their 20s, right? Like the three trilogies lasted, it kind of looked like 5 years or so. So yeah, yeah, I mean a good like 25, 30 years ish you have to work with. So I mean, that's a lot of storytelling there.
I am excited for it. I can't wait to see what they come up with next. My biggest fear is in the same vein as the MCU. I probably will be Star Wars out, which that's just sad to think about.
It's yeah, it's tough. Like we're living in such a fucking golden age of all this stuff, man. All this stuff that I feel like I've been waiting for since I was a freaking kid. And now seeing it all play out, but then yeah, sometimes you have to let things breathe. Like that's what I kind of feel like right now. I was like, I need breathing room to really feel these movies and stuff. Like last year, I feel like I couldn't really breathe on a lot of them because, I was enjoying what was going out there, but there were certain things, like
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to breathe a little bit more of watching Shang-Chi, which was really freaking good. Um, and I didn't mind Black Widow, but maybe that's something too that if I had a little bit more breathing room, like, like when you're bringing on certain things that pull in, like something like Marvel, or yeah, with Disney, like with Star Wars, sometimes it can be too much. And I don't know, maybe giving it a little break here and there, would be helpful for the fans. But at the same time, we live in a world too where people want things fast and we want things now. So it's a weird time period that you would expect we would be like loving it all, but sometimes I don't know. Maybe, yeah, I think you're right. Sometimes it can be too much, too much.
Yeah, like if we go back to when the prequels first came out, it took them what 3, 4 years till there's another episode that did come out. So
Yeah,
there does need to be a balance between churning out too much shit and not being too consistent enough in the franchise. So it really is hard. But for now, I'm probably just going to enjoy the ride. But I have a feeling for me where I feel like, okay, you guys are just scraping the barrel, and that's the Droids TV series, where I feel like that's just gonna be C-3PO and R2-D2 do random shit.
Making random references and stuff, seeing random
Yeah,
characters.
yeah.
Wait, they're
So
they're doing a live action droid series?
yeah,
What? I remember the
yeah.
I
That's
remember the
insane.
animated like little movie ones because I have one of those. But they're making a.
Yeah, that's on Disney Plus too, which is absolutely hilarious.
I had no idea they're making us a live action droids one. Whoops.
Dude.
Interesting, crazy man, crazy. But overall, I would give this episode solid 9 out of 10.
I am going to give it an 8. The mostly because the mechanic scene where I'm like, okay, I get it, John, my man, you are flexing, and I appreciate that you know your shit. This whole segment here just feels like 5 minutes too long. And I guess the other point that I would probably dock off is, unfortunately, the show is called Book of Boba Fett. It is not called Mandalorian. So, which might be a bullshit. It might be bullshit to say, but at the end of the day, I did sign up for Boba Fett.
Fair enough. That is true. That is true. At least it would have been. I mean, I'm glad Finnick showed up at the end because they have some history, but also it would have been cool just having them both there to talk to Mando there. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see where this all leads up to. For now, like these past 2 episodes, you're in a good direction. In a good direction.
Yes, we are. And as of right now, Sunday, I can't wait for Wednesday to see the next episode.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. We're seeing the second to the last episode of season 1 of the Book of Boba Fett.
Those of you who are still here, those of you who are still here, a little over an hour. Yeah, over an hour. First of all, thank you for staying and listening. I do appreciate that. And if you feel like we are worthy, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that shit. Do what you want to do. I don't give a shit.
Definitely. Definitely. And we're working on getting Doesn't Make the Cut on other audio realms and versions, and whether you listen to your podcast on like Spotify or the Apple Podcast or anywhere other than YouTube, we're working on getting that set up too for our future episodes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and a quick note too, just so something with Star Wars is that our episodes that we're pulling out right now are actually mimicking the Star Wars trilogies, because
Yeah.
if you notice in our thumbnail and our episode title, it's episode 4, and we actually have an episode 1, 2, and 3 that are that we had some amazing special guests that when we were working with the grant of the Tell Us Story Hive project. So those episodes will be coming out, and so maybe we could do that after we finish the Boba Fett series, so that way we can do a little homage there.
Yeah.
Totally unintentional, guys. Totally, everyone who's watching,
Totally unintentional.
Yeah.
Plot twist, it's just a big homage to the Star Wars lore. That's how much fanboys we
It
are.
is. Yep. And when we get our episodes 7 through 9, we're just gonna be totally having a different take on them. One of us isn't gonna be here, or
There's a different host here.
you
One of us just doesn't give a
yeah.
shit. We're just gonna go to a fucking island.
Oh man, one of us dies off or something. Oh jeez.
Yeah, we just levitate up in the air, and after we're done that levitation, we just fade off into the wind. Zero fucks given.
Oh shit. But
Oh my god, fuck that fucking movie.
hey, there were some good qualities, but I think my biggest gripe on the whole thing was how they killed Luke off. It was unnecessary.
Yeah, but before we go to another tangent, I think we'll just end it there. So then, not alienate the sequel fans. First of all, if you like the sequel trilogy, that's okay. At the end of the day, it's just not for me, and I don't mean to rain on your parade. If you like it, don't let don't let me being salty affect your view on the sequel trilogy. There.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. Like, something that we were talking about last time was that's the enjoyment, of all movies and TV and just anything is that it's all subjective. So, whether you like something and you hear somebody else doesn't, that's that's what creates the talk, that's what creates things. That's why we have, this podcast is and we're able to talk about things because between you and I, like we enjoy similar things, but also we have our different mindset and different thoughts and opinions on it. So it's really cool to be able to share that, and to not. So it's
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'd say yeah. If you enjoyed the sequels, then more power to you. More power to you.
Yeah, yeah, I tip my hat to you. So, but I personally don't like it, but we'll leave it at that. So,
Visually, it's amazing.
yeah.
Anyways, we'll leave it off on there. Thank you everyone for listening to take 5 of Doesn't Make the Cut.